Mine is a simple question. Now that the Northern Cape is a mining province, what legacy does the mines leave? Will the mines leave after the production has gone dry? Because I'm particularly worried that talent has been exported from this province to other provinces. And I would like you, madam, to please lobby the mining houses so that they should be able to buy a PSL team status.
PSL team in the Kimberley Diamond Stars or something, I don't know.
What is the soccer team?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so your first question, again, I think you wanted to, in fact, do you want to just summarize your question again, and then we'll address the PSL status for football. But you had a business question with the mining. I think you wanted a meeting.
Yeah.
You remember that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to?
No, what Mr. January actually asked is, what kind of legacy will the mines leave? We know that in the province there is a negative legacy in terms of the fact that we are sitting with a big hole and nothing more in Kimberley. But that is why we are engaging the mines, because we want to make sure that people will actually feel, especially if you look at, let me take one example. One of the mines that opened recently have got a lifespan of 28 years. So after 28 years, will we just sit with the rehabilitated mining fields, or what will we have that we can say is a legacy from that mines? That is why we are engaging the mines. We want to make sure that equally development progress as the mine is progressing, so that we don't sit with the same problems that we are currently experiencing in Kimberley, and that we have to redirect people into becoming SMMEs or developing business and so on. That business development should be ongoing, so that people should be prosperous as the mines are prospering.
All right, MEC, I'm going to ask you this. I heard the other day, which was quite interesting, is that a lot of countries with resources perhaps focus on the wrong things. For example, in Japan, they have a very huge steel sector. However, they have no ore. So is it a question of changing the way we think, changing the way we do things? We're talking about benefication and so on and so forth, but how does Japan have a huge steel sector and yet they have no ore? And then the issue of knowledge economies. Countries like Singapore had nothing 30 years ago. Shouldn't then Kimberley, the Northern Cape, be thinking about things completely differently to this whole issue of mines must do X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z?
Well, there is national discussions around the possibility of South Africa building its own steel manufacturing plant, given the iron ore that we have in the JTG region. There is a need to relook at certain things. For instance, as a Northern Cape, we're looking at things completely different. Let me use my other portfolio, tourism. We can't compete with Gauteng, Western Cape. We're looking at a complete different approach. We're saying, let's use what we have differently to make the kind of impact that we see happening in other provinces. We've tested it, it's working. It's beginning to show us, it's beginning to show results. The same approach will have to be taken when it comes to business and other industries. For instance, we're saying to the mines, why would you have the bulk of your operations in the Northern Cape, but register all your vehicles in Gauteng? You must register your vehicles here, purchase them here, so that that revenue remains here, because that revenue doesn't stay here. And I think that's the legacy that we're talking about, that for years the people of Solplaatje have a very negative legacy about diamond mining, because they can see the real benefits of that. We don't want a similar situation to happen with the iron ore and manganese in that area. So there is a different approach. That's why we're beginning to say to the mines, beyond just telling us, here's your social and labor plan, invest in the infrastructure in the communities, because we need to begin to see, and some of the mines have started that model. In Tsansabane, they are no more building mining houses, they're building houses where the community stays, so that even beyond the lifespan of the mine, people will still be living their lives in their community. So there are few initiatives that are working, And there's some initiatives that we think we need to explore. And that's why one of the critical concepts that will set us apart as a province is to be innovative about things, do them a bit different. We can't compete with the established metros and others, so we've got to do things a little bit different. And I think that's why we're saying let's tap into what we have, utilize it differently so that we can get a different result.
All right. MEC Jack, you've been a little bit quiet, and I'm just wondering, safety is another one of your another one of your portfolios, and I'm just wondering, with a young province and unemployment particularly hitting young people, you've got a lot of people wandering around doing nothing. Is safety an issue of concern for you in this province?
Thank you very much, Peter. You are correct, really. I was starting to get bored. I was saying to ABC Peterson's blog that seemingly it's housing and SMMEs, economic development. But be that as it is, of course, the issue of crime is a priority, both at the national level as well as in the provincial level, if you look at the 5 priorities of government. That's why, as the Northern Cape, we were conscious of the fact that we needed to adopt a crime prevention strategy, as well as ensure that we launch that one at a very exciting kind of an event in Batlaros on the 12th of September. Fighting crime to us is supposed to be an integrated approach that we are having. But then crime amongst the young people obviously will escalate because of the conditions and circumstances that they find themselves in. But what we said as a department is that we need to start to shift and change the approach that we are having by ensuring that we give young people information in terms of careers. That's why during the Transport Month, we concentrated on the Career Expo, where we use the SANDF, your Navy, your Air Force, and so on, as institutions that were supposed to be coming here, presenting to the young people, offering them opportunities that are there, both in our province and in our country, in order for them to start to shift from the more popular careers into careers that are not so popular. We also then say youth against crime is a concept that we are using, and it is reflected in our crime prevention strategy to start to say to the young people, you've got a future, don't mess it up now. In other words, if you're looking out or you're looking forward to tomorrow, you cannot mess it up here. Because if you've got a criminal record, for example, that will be problematic for you to get any opportunity in the future. So we keep them busy doing that. And also, we are saying we need to invest in our young people in order for them to be the leaders and adults of tomorrow that are responsible. And that is a definition that I usually like, is the intervention by adults in the life of young people, which is called education. And that is what we are doing. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, MEC. Here's an interesting question from, is this Bethany Vass, table 25. You were talking about legacy earlier on. I like this question. Bethany?
Is it Bentley first?
Is it Bentley? Sorry, my eyes are... Bentley Vass, table 25.
Just a correction, my name is not Bentley Fuss, but Madeleine Brandt. I think,
okay.
yes, the question relates as follows. As what legacy is the Premier and the Cabinet wishing to leave behind, knowing that there will be leaving some of us, I believe, next year? And also, Premier did outline in terms of an input around the vision that they've got for the province, but where would they want to see the province in the next 10 to 20 years? Thank you.
Okay. Is anyone leaving next year here? No one wants to say.
Maybe she knows something that we don't know.
Okay. All right. So legacy, and what's the future?
I actually don't know where to start, because really since we have been in office, we have been doing a lot. And I think Madeleine is one of those that can actually tell us what we have been doing. And that is the reason why I'm surprised about the question. But we have put our, whatever we want to achieve we have put our objectives very clearly out there. And one of the issues that, especially when I became the Premier, we were saying that we must look really into the issues of women and youth. And that is the issues that we would really want to see as the legacy that we are going to leave. That we should have made a difference in youth development and women empowerment. Currently, maybe just by, as an example, we can mention that we have went out with different stakeholders and we had some economic summits in the districts. We have covered 4 districts up to now, and already, very soon, we are going to announce how many women, especially, and young women for that matter, have been assisted in business development, speaking about that. But also in our outreach programs, like I've said before, we have identified few issues. And I think in the district where Madeleine is actually the municipal manager, we have started to address gap issues. For instance, in one of the areas, we found that there was about 10 people that were living in very bad circumstances. From May, maybe next week or the week thereafter, we are going to hand over about 10 to 12 houses to people that we have already started to address the issues. I think for them it will be the legacy that they will be seeing from what we are going to do. We found many people in the province that need very small things, like a wheelchair, for instance. Don't you think it will be the legacy that we have been living, that we have changed the life of people, that we have really made sure that people do have access to what we call the better life?
All right. And the other leg of that question is the future. 10 years from now, there'll be 2 more sets of elections. What will the Northern Cape look like in 10 years' time when people think of the Northern Cape? What kind of province would it be?
I think MEC Block started to begin to respond to the fact that we want to do things differently because we want to see a prosperous province. That is what all of us want to see. But we have still areas where we find pockets of poverty. And we have actually begun to intensify our service delivery, especially to that areas. So what we want to see in 10 years' time is that people that are less dependent on government, like grants or government services, but are more able to provide for themselves. That would be, for me, a very big achievement. If we can find that our skills base have broadened to the effect that we produce our own engineers, our own accountants, we do have, but we do need to make sure that the children of the Northern Cape is not just notorious for substance abuse or for crime and things like that, but they will be the leaders that will be taking on the economy. They will be. I want to see one child of the Northern Cape that is a political analyst, because I want to tell him how to analyze the politics, because that is the one thing that is also an issue. I'm just mentioning it now in passing. But we would really would love to see our children be the people that when you see them, you feel, really, I have made a difference in the life of this person.
Well, hopefully, one of your projects, Cpae might do that, change from within. And table 20, you didn't put your name, but if you were the one on table 20 and you were asking about the Cpae project, can you get the microphone and just say who you are and pose your question?
I'm OJ Liu, based in Del Porso.
Sorry, your name again?
OJ Liu.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I am involved in cotton manufacturing and I'm based in Del Porso. Since my question is directed to MEC Block. Since some of us are not lucky to see you or to talk to you, I think you put in place some LEDs in different municipalities who are supposed to interact with us on a daily basis. But the way I see it, they don't do it.
What's an LED?
Local economic development.
Local economic developer.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so they are supposed to go out there, in my mind, to inform us as small business about the opportunities available in government for small businesses, and they are supposed to encourage or motivate the communities to maybe start cooperatives and maybe equip them with skills which will enable them prosper in business. Now, my question is, I just wanted to know what their main task is, Mr. Block.
Okay, LEDs.
He has defined their main task.
Okay.
But if they fail to perform that task, we do it. Delport Hope is part of my constituency area. I was there a month ago. One of the focus areas we looked at was SMMEs. We're funding a couple of projects in that area. We're funding the River Pebble program in Delport, Longlands. We're funding a couple of women-initiated programs. We're funding one of the guys who's doing steel sculpting. So we go to these areas. We send our officers there. I've got a constituency office in Dikgatlong. So he's free to go to the office. And when I do go to Delport soon, I will make sure that we link up with him, because we don't just leave it to the officials. We also have our own outreach programs. I have a parliamentary officer that goes out to the constituency office all the time to try and bridge this gap of information. Because many a times in municipalities, your LED officers do not have the capacity to deal with local economic development issues. Sometimes it's either wrong placement, sometimes they don't have the skill. Most of them we've encouraged to go and study and upgrade their understanding of local economic development so that they're able to apply that knowledge back into the community. So where there are those weaknesses, the provincial government steps in and we give the kind of assistance that is needed. We do it directly, we do it in partnership with other departments.
Premier, this SKA project, I mean, I was there, I think it's almost a year now, with a big launch. Everybody was happy, took pictures, it was great. And I'm just wondering, has it started to deliver those jobs and those opportunities that they talked about back then? Or, I mean, all I'm seeing is that the bed and breakfasts are doing quite well. But what about the people? Is this university going to develop scientists that are going to work there? Is it starting to pay dividends yet, or is it still a way away?
Maybe at a very basic level is to start with the schools and the investment that the Department of Science and Technology, together with the SKF, have started to do, especially in Carnarvon at a very local level, that they put in computer laboratories in the local schools there, and children are being made to understand better what is going to transpire. But in all the projects, the major projects that you see, really at the construction phase, it is where there is quite a number of jobs that are being created in terms of the road infrastructure, in terms of constructing the basic facilities that they need really to start the project. Even the assimilation of the telescopes and things like that, they are doing it at base or at source there in Carnarvon, but at the farm where SKA is actually. So people from around surrounding areas, they are benefiting in terms of job creation. The issue that we have is that it's mostly low-skilled.
Okay.
Low-skilled jobs. And that is what we take issue with. And that is what we want SKA actually to address, to make sure that local children benefit from the high-skilled and technical jobs that are going to come out of the SKA development.
All right. Here's an interesting question from table 14, B. Muremi. I like your question a lot. Where are you? B. Muremi, table number 14.
Thank you, Premier and the Cabinet. I am representing the Pan South African Language Board. There is a decision in 2011 that negatively affected the Khoi and Sen communities and isiXhosa communities, in that the department took a decision to stop the teaching of those languages. Now, this has very serious implications in many responsible ways. How can we collectively and constructively engage with your highest office, seeing that the department responsible is difficult to respond? Thank you.
Okay, so.
With regards to the issue of language, currently we are busy with the legislation. I think it is now, or maybe it has been finalized, the issue of public hearings around the the languages, the 4 languages basically that are going to be used within the province. And I think Xhosa is one of them. So I think that is something that we can address. But I think my office is very open. The office of the MEC for Sports, Arts and Culture, MEC Williams, are very open. And we would really love for you to come to us before we finalize the Language Act in the province, that we do discuss the issues that you are speaking about so that we can incorporate whatever we can and discuss how we develop the issue of Khoi and sign languages within the province.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Did you want to add?
Yes, I want to add something to the issue of the Khoi and the sign languages. Because that particular matter was discussed. The issue here is that it's not part of the 11 official languages. But the province itself has started its own program to start with those languages in different schools. There was an issue where that program has stopped. I'm not actually sure, because I can't speak on behalf of the department what is the real issue. But I'm aware that in the past 3 weeks we have discussed it in Cabinet, the issue that as a province we acknowledge now that we will not get support from national because of other reasons, and the one I called. But also to say that we have agreed as a province, we will continue, we'll find our own money, and we'll continue the program of the Khoi and the Sang languages. That's our agreement.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Table 14, is this Kanti Teki? I'm trying hard to read your doctor-like writing. If you could just say your name.
It's Kandi from the
okay.
ANC Youth League. Just a question for the Premier and the MEC of Transport, Safety and Liaison. The issue of the rail revitalization program has been coming up for some time. Now, what I'm interested to know is what are the specifics of the implementation plan? Or rather, when is it kicking off the ground? Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Peter. I'm sure he was just afraid to say the question is directed to me only. Look, Peter, Kanti is correct to say this program has been coming for more than 10 years now, because you would understand the background that the downscaling of activities at rail and at stations that are there, Nopur, where he is coming from, as well as affected the socio-economic conditions of the people. What we said then as a province, one, we went to a transport conference in 2011, and that conference came up with a clear resolution to say, let's lure investors into our province in order for us to start to respond on the issue. Because not government alone will be able to respond to the matter. It should be an integrated approach that is there, which will then also involve the investors. In essence, today's breakfast show is aimed at ensuring that we accelerate the same process by saying to the nation, by saying to the international world, come to the Northern Cape, there are opportunities here. Amongst those opportunities is the rail revitalization. We talked about the whole question of DR being a freight hub, having the minerals, having some other goods stored into DR and being distributed from that point, which means going through no port as well. The second issue that we said, we are going to establish a team that is going to meet from that conference on a quarterly basis, assessing the work that was done and starting to say if there are any bottlenecks, we start to deal with that. That's why, as a matter of fact, all the districts are represented in this transport steering committee, because we want them to make input, we want the private sector to make input, we want the state-owned enterprises to make input. Because you'd understand, Transnet and the other related state enterprises are involved in that one. And as a matter of fact, there's activity now in DR, for example. They are establishing there a youth precinct, which will concentrate on the question of skills development, which is also linked to the rail revitalization process. So I'm calling upon all of us to start to make input and assist the government to realize this dream of getting the activities at the rail, in DR, Noport, and all other places back to normality, where the socio-economic conditions of the people were at an acceptable rate.
All right.
I thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. We've literally run out of time, but a very important tweet has come through from Simone, and it's for you, MEC Boetus. She says, are you single? So we're going to leave it there. But your final thoughts, Premier, just to speak on behalf of your delegation, just your final thoughts that you'd like to share with the people of the Northern Cape and perhaps the nation.
Thank you very much, Peter. We just want to say to those that are watching and to those in the province, there are so many opportunities. The Northern Cape has got a vast array of opportunities. Come to us, speak to us. We want to change not only the life of people, but we want to change the landscape of the Northern Cape. And with that, we want to thank our partners and the stakeholders and those that are having the same objective that we are having. And we want to encourage the nation. Let us stand together and do things for ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, our thanks to Premier Sylvia Lucas, MEC David Roy, MEC John Block, MEC McCollin Jack, and MEC Alvin Boetus. Thank you very much indeed for joining us and sharing your thoughts with us, and wish you the very best of luck with your province and your endeavors going forward. And from all of us here, thank you very much for joining us and being part of this conversation, and we'll certainly look forward to meeting you at the next one. But from us here in the Northern Cape, in Kimberley, have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow bright and early. Goodbye, everyone.